Okay, this week's revision is going to be focusing in on hardware. So we're going to start off with looking at storage devices. Now, storage devices questions, you will be required to understand the purpose of storage. Why do we use storage? One thing I wanted to make really clear that in the exam, it will refer to storage as secondary storage. The idea being that primary storage will be like RAM, so it's temporarily stored in there. Then it's copied into, or saved, should I say, into storage devices for permanency. Okay, so secondary storage because this is the second place it stores it. So we need to know the purpose of storage, how it links to RAM and ROM. You need to know the three different types: solid state, magnetic and optical, and most importantly, why we use one over the other, so i.e. the capabilities of each of those devices. So let's get stuck in. The purpose of storage. Now, when we are working on something, that will normally be in RAM. Okay, so if I've opened up a Word document, for example, that will be stored inside RAM. Because of that, RAM is temporary storage, i.e. volatile. So when the power is switched off, we lose everything that's inside RAM. So if we don't get what's stored inside RAM and save that via the CPU, so obviously the CPU will be managing this process and store it into our secondary storage devices, then it won't be saved permanently. Okay, so all devices inside the computer are connected on your motherboard, and the CPU will then kind of manage everything as we know. So really the purpose of storage is for that permanency, that ability to save forevermore. Okay, is key. The other reason why we don't use storage for our temporary stuff like editing a Word document is simply because storage is much slower than RAM, and our system will just run really slowly. So main ones are optical drives. So do make sure that you are aware that optical drives, these are essentially your DVDs and Blu-ray discs. They come in two parts: the drive itself, which tends to be inside a computer, inside a device. Okay, it doesn't tend to be portable. You can get portable drives, okay, but they tend not to be. And then the discs. It's the discs that we consider are portable because they are literally discs which I can move around, put in my bag, store on the shelf, whatever happens to be. But the drive tends not to be portable. Optical drives will use a laser to read and write data. Solid state drives, these are electronic. They use electronic switches to store data. They tend to be a lot smaller. So you can see you've got a pen drive there, which is absolutely tiny. You can get really small ones. They are the fastest storage by far. They are really robust. You will find them inside any mobile device, so mobile phones, iPads, things like that. Your more expensive higher end laptops and desktops will tend to have solid state drives nowadays, and obviously your memory sticks and memory cards will also have solid state. The key thing about solid state, it has no moving parts, which makes it the most robust and reliable. Magnetic drives, these are cheap and cheerful. They have a very high capacity, so you can store a lot more data on magnetic than you can on any other storage mediums. They're the main storage for desktop PCs, and absolutely the main storage for servers, where speed isn't necessarily the primary concern. It is the amount of storage we will have. For example, if I was setting up maybe Dropbox or Google Drive or things like that, or OneDrive, I'm going to need lots and lots of petabytes of data and lots of storage devices. So using solid state for all of that would be prohibitively expensive, whilst magnetic we find, and we can always get around the slowness by just kind of having lots of them. So magnetic drives are fairly slow, so high-end servers and PCs sometimes will use solid state drives, so it's not unusual to have servers which do use solid states, but it depends on the trade-off between speed and capacity. Okay. So how do we make a choice about which storage device we use? Well, first of all, we need to consider its capacity, how much it can store, its speed, how fast can we get data off it, how portable is it, how durable, how reliable is it, and obviously the cost. So this is the table you need to know. It's not the most complicated table. So capacity, magnetic has the largest. Okay, so we store the most in magnetic. Optical has a smaller capacity. It's still quite big, but it's not the biggest. And solid state will also have a large capacity, but it's very important to understand that magnetic definitely wins on capacity. Okay, it can store the most. Magnetic is slower than solid state. Optical is the slowest. Okay, that's the one that will read data off the slowest, and solid state is well and truly the fastest. So in that one, solid state wins. Portability, magnetic drives are not very portable. They have moving parts, so if you start moving it when it's in access, there's a danger of actually breaking it and ruining your data. Optical, you can move it around, but there is that risk of it being scratched. Although it is very portable, it is also not very durable, which comes on to the next thing. It's easy to scratch them and things like that. Magnetic is not durable because if you accidentally drop it when it's reading and writing, it will damage the device. Solid state is both portable and durable. If you accidentally drop your mobile phone, for example, it's more likely that the screen will crack before the storage device breaks. Reliable, magnetic and solid state are reliable. Optical does degrade over time, especially if it's left in sunlight, so it is not as reliable as the others. Costs, optical discs are the cheapest. They cost a few pence, whilst magnetic is more expensive, but nowhere near as expensive as solid state. You will pay a much higher premium for that additional speed and portability.